important do you think gender is within role models? How important is it that girls have female role models to look up to?
Actually, one of the positive things that's happened in more recent years is people are much more willing to talk about their journey, not just go, oh, well, it was really easy, for me, I was always good at sport. But not just having women. It's important, I think, to just, see men and just the routes they come through.
Did you have role models that you looked up to in swimming particularly?
I did, of course. One of my biggest ones was Natalie Coughlin.
Did you specifically choose female role models?
I did, yeah. And it wasn't a matter of being necessarily more inspired than a female versus a male, but it was, looking at this woman who was strong and who was vulnerable and who was looking at barriers and just breaking them in every sense of the word. And Natalie was always that super strong role model to me.
So now that you're a role model to so many young girls out there, what would you want them to learn from you as a role model?
As athletes, I feel as a female as well that I have to kind of put off this aura of being really strong all the time, and you're getting interviewed going into meets and they're asking you how you're feeling, and you have to say, like, I feel great, I feel super confident, it's gonna go really well. And there's some days I wanted to be up there like, I am so nervous, like I feel awful, and I'm getting much better about saying that.
Is that something that's perhaps harder for male athletes to do because it's harder for them to show that vulnerability? Is it harder to be honest?
I think it's harder to be honest, but I think that they don't even know how to be honest. Because I think that, boys sort of, have this confidence, and in many cases it's not real, it's just what we do. Mm-hmm. We, sort of show that we have this confidence, that because it's what we're taught, we're supposed to be strong and we're supposed to have this confidence. But I think what you see is actually with professional athletes, they start to get a little bit more real and feel more comfortable being vulnerable.
So, Tanni, is it maybe more about how you carry yourself as opposed to your gender that makes you the appropriate role model? Or do you think gender does still play an important role in that?
I think gender plays a role because it's all the experience that you've had growing up. So, even if you go into a sport where it's very equitable and the treatment's very equal and you get the same coaching and the same media coverage, and we're a long way off that, you're still dealing with society's view of you as a woman. So if actually what makes a girl do sport is putting a hairdryer in the changing rooms, do you know what? Stick a hairdryer in the changing rooms. Mm-hmm. Actually, what's really interesting in some of the things in the UK at the moment, we've got more male athletes now advertising beauty products and face products and hair products than they ever did before.
Is it true to say, though, that the young girls will often tend to adopt male role models, but the same isn't true the other way around?
Yeah, I think that's probably true. We certainly see that with a lot of the young soccer players, young female soccer players that we work with and that we train. They, sort of, because that's what they're seeing in it's the male side, it's the Ronaldos and the,
But if you're growing up in America, you're also seeing a Carly Lloyd. So why is a young...
Not quite as much. Also, if, if LeBron James went to a WNBA game and talked about how much he can appreciate the game, and I think he's actually done that, but that sort of thing, will certainly go a long way as well.
Research we've done at Women in Sport called What Sways Women to Play Sport shows that whilst it's really important that we have elite female athletes having more coverage, because you have to see it to be it, you have to have something to aspire to, actually, the biggest influencers for most girls are the women closest to them in their lives. And actually, if they see their friends playing sport and that's kind of normal and that's part of their social circle, then that is more likely to motivate them. And I think this is really important for the Laureus projects as well, because it's actually... influence comes from people close to us in our communities. And by engaging with community role models, with community leaders, with women in the local community, that is more likely then to motivate young girls, and it makes it okay for them to take part as well.
Have any of your coaches been female? Did that have more of an impact on you in any way?
It did. So when I swam at the University of California, Berkeley, I swam under a female coach, Terry McKeever. And our
How unusual
coach,
is that, by the way?
Very,
okay.
Yeah, especially in the NC2A in America. Not very likely at all. And to have her, and to sit down and actually be able to have these kinds of conversations with her was so interesting to me and so intriguing. And hearing, on a first-hand basis what it was like for her, you know, being discriminated against as a coach coming up in the sport, and what she had to face, and how she persevered through that, and how she, you know, the accolades that she has now and the athletes that she's coached now. And, you know, to look at her success despite everything, you know, that she went through, that is what made her such a big role model for me, and hearing these stories. And it's something that we 100% need more of.